and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I try hobbies so you don't have to. Now, for today's episode, we are going to do kayaking week number 2. So I'm actually going to go over so far the pros and cons that I have found with kayaking and what I think about it as of week number 2. So stay tuned for those, and if you have any other pros to mention or some cons to mention that you think, just leave it down in the comments. Even though I've only tried kayaking twice now, we're going on to the second time, I already have a few things about it that I just not too sure about. Since I was born in the Caribbean and I'm a water girl, you know, I love being in the water, I love being near the water. I have a pretty high threshold when it comes to having a water sport impress me. I'll let you guys stay tuned to find out if so far in week number 2, if kayaking has impressed me or if it's, you know, not so impressive. But you'll have to stay tuned to find out if kayaking has met that threshold yet, because we do still have 2 more weeks of kayaking, so maybe in those 2 weeks things will change. Anyway, so for this episode I am headed out to Windsor and I've got quite a drive to make, and luckily enough for us, How Fast is coming along with me, so I actually have a cameraman who's going to do some scenic films and you guys can actually see me kayaking. Let's get going and I will see you at the River Canard in LaSalle. Let's go find our cameraman. He's ought to be somewhere around here. Maggie, dearest, have you seen Dad? That's not Dad, that's Nancy. He's in the garage, you say? Car guy thinks. Should have guessed.
You ready?
Here to the river, and the canoes and kayaks are just over that way, so we're gonna get ourselves all sunscreened up and then we're gonna head over there and I'm gonna rent some canoes and kayaks and then we'll get some filming done. I did rent 1 kayak and 1 canoe, and I know this is a kayaking hobby, but I figure, you know what, we'll just include this as canoeing as well, because I don't know how much more different canoeing is from kayaking. I mean, if there is a big difference, let me know in the comments, because maybe I'm just missing something. So we're just going to include this hobby as kayaking / canoeing, and Justin is going to just be in the canoe filming me kayaking, and I don't know where I'm going to find these kayaks. I'm lost. And I'm gonna be in a kayak, like I was saying, but yeah, I don't know where I'm going. I think over here looks about it. I don't know, I'll let you know. I am direction intolerant. Is this where I rent like the kayaks and canoes, or?
You're looking for like actually.
You have to go to the corner store actually.
The corner store has them?
Where you set them up.
Ah, okay, cool. I'll be right back. Okay, so I found out where I have to go, and I have to go to the corner store. So we're going to the corner store to rent our kayaks. Okay, so we are back out on the water and I am once again risking it for the biscuit with my phone. But yeah, it's a pretty nice day. It's really, really warm out, so it's good to be on the water when it's this hot, you know? So yeah, it's like 30 degrees Celsius, I think. But that's okay, because I love the heat, so I'm in my element right now. And yeah, I'm feeling very anxious because the selfie stick has the phone like whoop, and I'm like, hold on tight. Anyway, so I wanted to talk a bit about like some of the not so great points about kayaking. And I know I'm always so positive when it comes to almost every single hobby. Like, I'm a pretty open-minded person, I'd like to think, so I usually like to focus on the optimistic great points about everything, and I will add in some great points about kayaking. And so you guys know that, you know, I'm not gonna like every single hobby, and there's some hobbies like this one that has not met my expectation levels. Before I even started kayaking, I thought it was going to be, went into kayaking thinking, you know, I'm gonna be able to find kayaking places everywhere. Like, it always seemed like when I was out doing things at the beach or something, there was always a little kayak stand, so I'm like, oh, this can be easy. But as you noted from last week when I didn't post a video, that is not the case. I went all the way up to Oakville to do some wandering and thinking, you know what, let's go kayaking on Lake Ontario in Toronto. How nice is that gonna be? Didn't take into account parking. Didn't take into account the fact that kayaking places are only gonna rent kayaks if it's low tide, and it was high tide and there was lots of waves. So that was not exactly what I hadn't thought. Like, I'm from the Caribbean, I'm born in the Caribbean, and when it comes to anything you want to do there, it doesn't matter high tide, low tide, big waves, small waves, they've got it. Like, they're always out there selling. But of course Canada has their rules and regulations, so that was not quite the case. That is unfortunate. So I have to say, renting kayaks, not particularly my favorite. Also, you have to go to where they're renting it. You can't just find a launch and go unless you have bought a kayak. So renting is not as effective or efficient as buying yourself a kayak, but also I'm gonna go into the weeds, BRB. Averted. As I was saying, yeah, it's not as like efficient of a hobby as the hobbies I've done before. You have to really take into account and plan ahead when it comes to where am I going to rent, how much is it going to cost, because there's some rental places that are pretty expensive. This one in particular was really cheap, 35 bucks for 4 hours. Not too shabby. But of course, like, you get into the higher pricing, particularly like Toronto and Niagara Falls and stuff like that, you're gonna get increased pricing in like those areas just because it's Niagara Falls and it's Toronto. It's not as free. Like, you can't just say I want to launch here because it's super scenic, especially if you're renting. So buying a kayak, I feel like if I were to do this hobby over and over again, was really going to commit to the hobby, buying a kayak is really what I'd have to do. When you've got this kayak, it's huge, so transporting it in a little Honda Civic or Ellie, like, it's not gonna do. You need to get like a roof rack. You actually need a car because you can't just, like, unless you live on the water, you can't just walk it out there. So you have to have a car to transport the kayak, and if you want to go and explore different areas, of course a car is necessary to actually take it to other areas. So I am very picky about my water hobbies. Like, I scuba dive, I love to swim, I sail. Like, those things are really like some of my favorite things to do in the water. And so when it comes to other hobbies, I'm like, if I'm going to be doing them, I want them to surpass or be up with that same level of excitement for me, and kayaking just has not reached that yet. Maybe it's because I need to get into it more, so we're gonna keep kayaking, and maybe by the end of the 4 weeks it'll pass that. I'll be like, oh, you know what, I do like it. For now, it has not surpassed that level. So yeah, kayaking, not particularly my kind of flavor when it comes to a water hobby, but it is still enjoyable and it's still relaxing to do when, you know, you find somewhere to go kayaking. But I definitely crave more adrenaline and more entertainment from kayaking itself. So for me, this hobby is not a 10 out of 10. It's probably in like the 6s right now, and maybe that'll go up as things progress into next week's adventure and then the following week. So we'll see. I'm caught in the weeds again. Hi, they're coming for us. Ah! Also, this hobby is definitely more of a hobby that I personally would do with friends and stuff, because doing it alone is not as fun, I feel, because, you know, you're just kayaking along. But if you were to have a tandem kayak, which they do make, you could go with a friend, and then I feel like it would be a lot more fun. Maybe I need to try the white water kayaking or something where there's more adrenaline rush. That may be up my alley. Or put like a motor at the back of this and go vroom, and take off in it. That would also be a good idea. And lastly, I can't keep digging on kayaking because it is an excellent activity for low impact fitness. So if you're looking for something that has low impact fitness and you really feel your muscles working, kayaking is definitely something to think about. So that is a benefit of kayaking. It might not be my flavor of hobby yet, because that could change, but I could see how people would really be passionate and enjoy kayaking. On another episode of Will I Make It or Am I Too Tall? Will I make it under this bridge? Well, the results are in. I am too tall. So we will not be going under the bridge to the other side of this river. Okay, so I know it's early, but those are my thoughts so far on kayaking. And honestly, it is a really good workout. Like, I was digging on it, and then we were going upriver, and I was like, whew. Yeah, that's it. Feel the burn, feel the burns. Kayaking's a good exercise. Don't get me wrong. To me, kayaking is boring. I'm sorry, I said it. You heard it here first. So, that being said, let's go kayak back into shore and get some ice cream because I love ice cream, so hi. This week's kayaking adventure, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and enjoyed hearing my take on kayaking so far, 2 weeks into the hobby. I am not sure if I'm wet because of the water or wet because of sweat, but either way, I'm gonna need to towel down. So thank you so much for watching, and if you really enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up, leave your comments down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that little notification bell, so you can be notified every single time I post. I'll see you next week. Peace!